Hello everyone, I'm Zia and I'm an affiliate instructor of Bressy USA. For those who are new, I request to subscribe my channel and hit the bell icon so you can get the notification for every new video. When we run any business, what we are concerned? We are concerned with our constant profits and growth. If we don't achieve this, we might close or reduce the size of our business. But for doing the same in public sector, we have to think differently. For example, we will consider the number of people directly or indirectly depending on that business unit which is running in losses. If we find the number of dependents are very high, we will still keep on running the business, but we will try to reduce its deficit as low as possible. Same way, when we do procurement for any private organization, we consider our organizational goals and perimeters and limits set by our top management. While in public sector, there are a lot more standards and limits. There are more procedural requirements and many checks and balances, which clarifies it easily that public procurement is more complex and challenging than doing the same in any private business. For knowing these intricacies, I am honored to have Sir Girish Bhatnagar with me. He did his mechanical engineering from IIT Delhi and joined Indian Railway in their supply chain side. Now he has an experience of almost 50 years in this line. He has designed and conducted a lot of trainings in many cities of India. He is regularly writing on this subject on different forums and is also running his YouTube channel. So, sir, how are you?
I'm good, thank you. How are you, Jiaji?
I'm fine, sir. Sir, I want to thank you once again, and I want to start with a brief introduction from your side, because I just introduced you very briefly, but I want you to also give us a little more info about it.
Thank you. As you said that I joined Indian Railways in 1972 and was with Indian Railways in supply chain and in higher management for 37.5 years, yes. And retired in 2009.
Yes.
From 2009, I am doing training and consultancy in public procurement for last 13 years. And I have worked with the World Bank, and I've done consultancy with Government of India, Government of Bhutan, Government of South Africa, European Commission, and it has been a good tenure. Public procurement is difficult, but still you can survive. You can see I've done for 50 years and I'm still happy and healthy.
Yes, sir. I wish you a good health so that you can keep on working in the same spirit. So, sir, I want to start that, in your opinion, public procurement is same like private procurement, or there is a very big difference between both of them?
The procurement as it is same. The core principles are the same in commercial procurement as well as in the private, in the public procurement. But when you go into details, there is a lot of difference. As you have already said, public procurement is much more complex and much more challenging than private sector procurement. The main, as you said, that why public procurement is so important is huge percentage of the country's budget gets spent on public procurement. For example, in India, around 20% of India's budget is spent on public procurement. So it is a huge thing. Even a small 5% saving in this will amount to a huge amount which can be spent for public welfare. Yes. In India, the total public procurement is around $550 billion. Yes. So it is a very big amount. Now the public procurement being a big amount, there is a lot of scrutiny how it is done, whether it is done properly or not. So a plethora of rules come into being which make it very complex. Yes. There is a lot of things which make public procurement very different from the private procurement, and I have tried to group all these differences into 5 basic principles.
Yes, sir, we will go on them. I have seen actually your presentation. It was really marvelous. So I just want to start on that, sir. For example, in your presentation, you said the first principle is professionalism. In public
Yes.
procurement, you slide most importance to professionalism. So, sir, what are the important or salient features of this professionalism which you want to highlight?
Professionalism principle, there are 4 issues. One is the economy, that we spend the money properly and just the right expenditure, not too high, not too low. And it is done with efficiency. That means the process should not be too complex. Then effectiveness means it should achieve what it set out to achieve. That means the procurement is done in a manner which gives you value for money. And lastly, there is integrity. That means there is no corruption, there is fraud, there is no fraudulent activity or collusive activity. So this is the basically principle of professionalism, and it is same as in private sector. In this principle, there is no difference.
Oh, okay, sir. Like I have seen in private side, sometimes when I was working as a purchasing manager, that sometimes I used to get quotations which were low face value. I saw someone is offering me product at a good price, at a good margin, but still I was not easy to go with them. Maybe reputation of supplier was involved or other factors were involved. So in public sector, when we take such decisions, then are we not taking risks for us as a professional? Because next someone can raise a question about us that why you went with a slightly higher price in this case, especially in our part of the world, sir.
Yes, this is called abnormally low bid, that is ALBs in public procurement. And this is a major issue, that many times we get a bid which appears to be on the face of it not tenable. That means it may not even fulfill the cost of producing that item,
Yes.
and the person is bidding you.
Yes.
It cannot be brushed out of hand, because
Yes.
many times a person may have excess stock which he wants to work off because he's incurring inventory costs and all that. So there are rules and regulations in public procurement how to deal with abnormally low bids, so
Yes.
that you do not get into a contract which fails later on,
Yes.
or you do not ignore a low bid which could be workable. So both ways there are this and dangers, and in public procurement there are well laid out rules and regulations to handle such abnormally low bids.
Okay, sir. In your after this professionalism, you kept the second point was transparency.
Yes.
So, what you mean by transparency, and what are important things which you want everyone to consider that these are the parts of transparency?
Transparency means that the purchasing person should not try to favor a particular bidder or a group of bidders as against a opening totally equality, treating them with equality and fairness. So transparency principles have 5 sub-principles. One is openness.
Okay.
That means everything should be done in open. There should be no hidden procedure or hidden information.
Okay.
Secondly is the fairness. That
Okay.
means every person who is bidding in a procurement, he should be treated fairly, not unfairly.
Okay.
And everybody should be treated equally. That means all bidders should get equal opportunity to get the contract. And there should be sufficient competition in public procurement. And finally, the 5th point is that the bidder should have an appeal right. That means if they feel that they have not been treated fairly or equally, they should have an avenue where they can go and complain about it, and they should be heard. So this is the transparency principle. This is a very important principle which leads to a lot of complexity in public procurement, because government lays down a lot of rules why you should not treat somebody in this way or that way. So that adds to a lot of complexity in public procurement, but it is required because we have to treat all the bidders equally. Government cannot be done like a private procurement that I can buy from anybody I like.
Okay. Okay, sir. But I have observed sometimes that when we are doing public procurement for contracts or for any such thing, we always see that if this specific supplier has some experience, some background in that, how much does it matter for you when you are checking a vendor? Especially in big contracts, they see that this contractor, has he done such projects in the past or not?
Yes. So in public procurement, qualification criteria is laid down.
Okay.
That we are procuring this thing, then the bidder must have supplied similar items in past. There can be criteria laid down that he must have supplied 5 such machines, or he must have done at least 3 such works of similar quantum or nature, and he must have supplied similar quantities in past. So these are the criteria through which we filter out people who do not have experience in supplying these items. We cannot go to each and everybody, but this is in consonance with transparency, that we do not frame a criteria which is too onerous and completely rule out other people.
So, sir, can we not give a first-time break to someone that, okay, so far you have done a $2 million project, come on, I will give you a chance for $10 million project?
So this qualification criteria does have that leeway that you are purchasing, say, a 100 million item. So they will not say that. They can say that you may have 50 million experience. That will be okay. We can expect that he can double his experience. So the lesser qualified person also is able to bid.
Okay. So bottom line is that it's not that straightforward and easy to just award a contract or order to someone on basis, especially who has no previous experience.
Correct. So for new experienced person, he has to try out smaller contracts in which such qualification criteria will not be rigid. And there are programs in government to favor new startups. For example, in India also, there is a startup program in which their qualification criteria is relaxed in case of startups. And say small industries, there is a relaxation in criteria.
The bottom line is there is something for the startups.
For the new people. Something for yes.
Okay, sir. Moving forward now, in your model, you placed horizontal objectives after transparency. So, sir, what you really mean by horizontal objectives?
Horizontal objective means that in private sector, you will try to procure to get the best value from that particular procurement. But in public procurement, it is not so, because public procurement is a policy tool of the government, and it has to cater to the aspirations of many of the stakeholders, and it has to support broader social policy objectives. The government wants that when it is spending billions of dollars, it should be done in such a way that it generates jobs for the public, it leads to economic growth, and it also ensures that the persons who are bidding are paying their taxes, they are conforming to the environment compliance, and they also want to use the public procurement expenditure to strengthen the local industry or the small scales or the startups, etc. So these are the horizontal objectives, which are not exactly main objectives of procurement. These are side objectives, you can say.
Okay.
Because government, you must have heard a principle in economics which is called Keynes principle. In depression years in 1939 in USA, Keynes advised the president of USA that you do a lot of construction.
Okay.
If you don't have requirement of construction, just ask people to dig the trenches and give another contract to fill it. Even spending that much money will generate economy of the country, and take it out of recession.
Okay.
So the government spending in public procurement also helps the economy, and that is the horizontal objective which government keeps in view. It supports startup even by buying at a higher price from the startup, things like that.
Okay. So this way again we find a situation where we are accommodating or trying to accommodate the new startups so that they can grow.
Correct. And we see that the money that the government is spending is going to add to the capacity of the country. For example, in 1960s, there was nobody in India who could make a flyover on the road, etc. There was no flyovers in India.
Yeah.
So government especially spent money to not only makes flyovers, but so that the technology gets transferred to Indian industry. Initially, they hired foreigners, but asked them to associate local industry. Now, India is exporting the flyovers and other construction activities. So the government spending also builds up the local industry.
Okay.
So that is the horizontal objective.
Sir, in this just it came to my mind, Larsen and Toubro is an Indian company?
It's an Indian company. The name is actually the people came from Denmark. Two brothers came from Denmark very early before independence, and they started this. And now they have left the company in the hands of Indian.
Because when I was in Saudi Arabia, I saw on a bridge, I think 1 or 2 bridges, Larsen and Toubro's name was written there.
Yes, yes. So, there are a lot of Indian construction companies which are doing work abroad, like L&T, Gammon India, etc., etc.
Okay. Okay, sir. Now we will move forward to the next point. When we are purchasing or procuring for a private company, we are answerable only to our top management. We might lose our jobs if we are doing something wrong, or okay, there are some other consequences also. But legal liabilities, you see, come when it comes to public procurement, because the way we have seen that in public procurement, everything is on a much wider scale than private procurement. So how this legal problem differs then?
Okay, so in fact, you have raised two principles together. Initially, you said that the private procurement persons are answerable to their organization only.
Yes.
But in public procurement, a public procurement official is answerable to multiple agencies. So this principle, this is called multiple accountability principle. This we will take first. So a public procurement person is answerable to his immediate manager, he is answerable to his organization's manager, and he is answerable to the ministry which controls him and gives him money to purchase. Then besides that, the parliament also oversees the procurement activity. People complain to parliamentary MPs and all. There are parliamentary committees which do supervision of results of the procurement. Then there are anti-corruption bodies in every country. In India, it is called Central Vigilance Commission. And in different countries, they have similar anti-corruption bodies which keep tab on whether the procurement is being done in an ethical manner or not. Then there are various investigative agencies which also look into this. Then in every country, there is a auditing body. In India and Pakistan, probably they have comptroller and auditor generals who do the audit of post-audit of procurements, and they report if there is anything wrong found in it. In many countries, there are ombudsmen. In India also, there is ombudsmen are called lokpals. So ombudsmen are there who listen to any complaint which comes from public or the procurement people, and they go into this. Then a private sector procurement, a bidder cannot go to court that why he has ignored me. He cannot go to the court that why I have been ignored. But in public procurement, a bidder can go to the court and complain that I had also bid in this tender and I have been ignored unfairly. And the court will go into the question. So this is additional judicial accountability, which is beyond the private sector accountability. So this is the multiple accountability principle, and this is a very onerous principle which makes the public procurement man very jittery. Somebody looking over your shoulders, or somebody when you are driving, somebody sitting on the back seat and watching whether you are driving properly. So this is slightly unnerving or difficult or challenging thing to
Okay,
do.
sir, I have a question about this parliament. You mentioned that parliamentary committees can also check you. So generally what I have seen, that politicians are not technical people. They want to become more popular, so they will try to take up a popular public sentiment. They will go for that. So how a professional procurement person can face such people then? Facing such people is then very difficult. How to handle them then?
It is difficult. If a question is raised in Parliament, it has to be answered, and because it is very, very challenging to answer a Parliament's question, because if you are caught giving wrong information, there are severe repercussions to that. So public procurement people are taught how to handle this. But you have correctly said that political people or even NGOs raise issues many times, or the press also raises questions about public procurement in media many times. So there is a need to train the civil society also, as well as politicians, in what is public procurement. That capacity is lacking. We will come to it later. The capacity building is an issue, both of the procuring people as well as people who are questioning the public procurement. We will come to it as a topic later.
Okay, sir. So now we were talking about anti-corruption agencies, like the way you said in India there is a
Vigilance Commission.
Vigilance Commission, sir. Generally, there is a misconception about these public institutes or government institutions, that these people are the basis of corruption themselves. So it's a very blunt and open statement, but it happens. So is it 100% true or 100% wrong?
No, it is not true at all. You see, it cannot be denied that some of the anti-corruption people may be corrupt themselves.
Yes.
But this is a statement which is very generic. Mostly the selection process of anti-corruption people is such that largely honest people will go there, and very passionate people will go there. The charge can be otherwise, that they may not only catch a corrupt person, they will also harass a honest person who has done a genuine mistake.
Yes.
So a mistake can always happen even by a honest person. A honest mistake can be there, but he will get harassed. So this question is on the other side, that a honest person should not get harassed. But in general, anti-corruption is a very good thing. I am also aware of anti-corruption activities in Pakistan, and I have a lot of respect for them. I keep monitoring their work. I mean, looking at their work. They have a very good institution there.
Okay, sir. Now I have seen from your point of view that in many countries there are no clear public procurement laws and regulations. What is its role and what is its importance?
It is like this, that public procurement law is there in many countries. For example, in US, there is no public procurement law, but they have FAR, that is Federal Acquisition Regulation.
Okay.
So these are rules, but which are not law.
Okay.
So similarly, most of the countries have rules and regulations, but they may not have a proper law, which is an act of the parliament, etc. In European countries, there are public procurement law. For example, UK is going to enact a law very soon. It is under with the parliament. It has been probably enacted also in a few days back. The presence of law ensures the bidders that they will have a platform on which they can go back to the court that this has not been done or that has not been done. But there are anti-public procurement law issues also. For example, the public procurement law, which is being recommended by the European Union, or there is an agency of UN called UNICITRAL. They have recommended a model public procurement law. But as I see it, the focus of that public procurement law recommended by UNICITRAL is in allowing foreign bidders to participate in your country's procurement. The focus is not on doing better public procurement, faster public procurement, or ethical public procurement per se. Focus is different. It may not, if, for example, in India, we want that our local industry should grow to a level that they can compete on equal footing with foreign companies. Then only we will open up our public procurement to the foreign bidders. But there is a lot of pressure from the international community to enact public procurement law in India and allow foreign bidders a free flow into the large public procurement that India is doing.
So, sir, are you giving at the moment some trainings actively in India to public procurement?
Yes, I am doing a lot of training presently also, and I am also involved in formulation of these procurement rules and regulations in Government of India.
Very good.
For example, I have written 3 manuals of procedure, that means standard operating procedures for Government of India. So 3 SOPs I have written for Government of India. Now I am writing standard bidding documents which incorporate all these rules and regulations, and they are the RFPs and RFQs, etc., which are used in procurement.
So you are imparting your experience to the next generations.
I am grateful to Government of India to use my services.
And sir, have you made some institution for this, some technical, some training institution, or?
I was associated with an institute called Indian Railway Institute of Logistics and Materials Management. It's an institute, not a government institute, it's a private institute set up by people like me who have done long years of public procurement in Indian Railways. So Indian Railway has a very big cadre of supply chain people. So they have set up this. I was Director General of this institute for 6 years. Now younger people have taken it over, but I am still associated with it as a founding member.
Okay. And sir, what's the name of your YouTube channel where you are making sometimes videos?
My YouTube channel is called Mastering Public Procurement.
Mastering Public Procurement. So, sir, if some of my viewers come up with some questions about after watching this session, can you spare one more chance for us to answer those questions?
Yes, I'm very open for any more sessions with your very popular channel. I have seen a lot of useful videos and very educative videos are there, not only on supply chain, but on social issues also.
Okay. Thank you, sir, for the appreciation. Any message, anything which you want to say from your side?
I think we have left out one principle which I wanted to speak to you. You raised it. It is the extended legal liabilities principle.
Okay.
For example, in private sector procurement, you are answerable only to the mercantile law. That means Contract Act or things like that, which regulate dealings between 2 contracting partners. That is the only law which is applicable to private procurement.
Yes.
But in public procurement, there are many more laws which are applicable to public procurement, but not to private sector procurement. For example, every country has a constitution which has certain fundamental rights. For example, India has 7 fundamental rights. One of them is the right to carry out a profession, and another is right to be treated equally.
Yes.
These 2 fundamental principles are used by court to take up cases in public procurement because there is no public procurement law. So these are the 2 fundamental rights based on which a lot of litigation happens in public procurement. Similarly, a nation may have international trade treaties with each other, say maybe most favored nation, etc.,
Hmm.
which have a chapter on public procurement. That
Okay.
means when a bidder from the most favored nation bids, he is given certain favors in
Okay.
qualification criteria, etc. At present, India does not have such a treaty, but many countries have it.
Okay.
Then there is a public procurement law in certain countries which applies only to public procurement, not to private procurement. Then there are transparency and anti-corruption laws in every country, which are applicable to public procurement. Then there are also anti-competitive laws in many countries, so that people do not do anti-competitive act. That is also applicable to public procurement, but anti-competitive law is also applicable to private procurement. That is not a separate
That,
thing. There is
sir,
another law called right to information.
right to information. Yes.
So that law is in many countries, right to information. India, USA also has a similar named
Sir,
law.
really, you have given us so much knowledge that what I am thinking that the 5 principle or 5 dimensions of procurement which you made, I think we can make one session on every one of them. This is
Yes.
very vast subject, sir. Thank you very much once again, sir, for your time, for your. I'm really thankful that you spared out your time. You gave us imparted your knowledge to us. You really gave us very valuable information. And I wish that if
Thank you.
people listen to you, learn from your experience, that public procurement is not a very simple thing that, okay, someone will pay someone something and get whatever you want to get done. No, it's not that straight. You have to follow a lot of procedures. You will be under a lot of watchful eyes. And not only today, maybe after 3-4 years, they will dig out the cases again after you.
By that time, you have forgotten how you did that.
Yes, how you did that. So thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Zia. I think you are taking supply chain as well as part of it as public procurement also to the audience and explaining it to them. I hope that you continue this effort and in explaining the supply chain issues and public procurement issues. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
And I thank all the audience.
Yes.
For a very good day and greetings to them.
Thank you, sir. Okay, bye.
Okay, thank you.
Bye.